What if self-control could be taught? What if we could be way more effective with self-control and help our children to control themselves, to regulate their emotions, to hold it together a whole lot better? Today, we give you the answers about how this can be done. Welcome to the Happy Families podcast, real parenting solutions every day. It's Australia's most downloaded parenting podcast. We are Justin and Kylie Coulson. Kylie, a little while ago, I had a chat with a guy called Ethan Kross, and we're going to play some snippets from that interview and replay the full interview on Saturday. Self-control is one of those things that we find ourselves constantly talking to our kids about, the whole idea of being able to regulate your emotions, hold it together. Sometimes the kids do better and sometimes they do worse.
When I think about self-control, I think about the acronym HALTS.
Hungry, angry, lonely, tired, stressed.
And how our self-control capacity is minimized.
Decrease so much.
It just decreases so much in those time things. But I also feel like my personal experience is my self-control is really highly determined by my level of motivation. So if I am highly motivated to exercise every day, then my ability around self-control to get out of bed and to actually put my shoes on and go for a run or go for a bike ride, even when it's raining, is high.
Yeah. Isn't that curious?
Because my motivation to do something is high. But if I'm not motivated, then you can almost guarantee that my self-control is going to be about as low as it can get.
So I want to share something with you from this interview. Let me quickly introduce who Ethan Kross is. He's a professor at the University of Michigan's Psychology Department and the world-leading Ross School of Business. He's also the director of the Emotion and Self-Control Lab. He actually studied under Walter Mischel. The name might not mean anything to you, but you know what will?
He's a marshmallow experiment guy.
Really? You knew that? I'm so impressed. Yeah, the marshmallow experiment guy. I didn't, that was not set up. I didn't think that you would know that. Obviously, you could tell from my response. Ethan's the author of the international bestseller Chatter, The Voice in Our Head, Why It Matters and How to Harness It. It was chosen as one of the best new books of the year by the Washington Post, CNN and USA Today, and the winning Winter 2021 selection for Malcolm Gladwell, Adam Grant, Susan Cain and Dan Pink's Next Big Idea Book Club. It's been translated into over 40 languages. It's a big deal. It was a big deal to have him on the pod. When I asked him this question, Kylie, I loved his answer. I said, question of self-control. Do some people have it and some people just not have it? And here's how he responded.
One of the things we know is that you can change your self-control. You know, one of my pet peeves is when I hear people saying, you have no self-control. That's absolutely not true. Everyone possesses self-control to some extent. Some of us are better at exerting it in some contexts as opposed to others. I may be really good at exerting self-control, regulating myself when I'm working on a problem at work, but maybe I have a little bit more difficulties when I'm coaching soccer. That's not true. I'm pretty good there too. But I have my weaknesses. They're associated with the pantry post 10 p.m. at night when I crave some foods.
Bit of ice cream.
So we all have our Achilles heel when it comes to self-control, but what we know is that there are different tools we can use to improve our self-control. And these different things we can do, they're teachable, their strategies are often easy to implement. And so I talk to my kids about the different ways that they can manage the temptation when it exists.
So I'm curious, you're only obviously sharing a snippet.
Yes.
But what were the tools that he shared?
Well, you'll have to listen on Saturday to hear the whole thing.
That's not fair.
But as he talked about the pantry after 10 p.m., I said ice cream. Ice cream doesn't belong in the pantry. Ice cream belongs in the freezer. You know I said it because that's my weakness.
Yes, of course.
I struggle with self-control so much around ice cream.
But again, your motivation is minimal.
Yeah, and what's curious is just recently we've been on a pretty big health kick. My interest in ice cream chocolate, I actually perused the lolly aisle in the supermarket the other day, and as I walked through the aisle, I was just like, not interested, don't want any of it, completely disinterested. Again, motivation plays a really big role.
So I really struggle with the concept of changing self-control from the point of view, I probably never heard the word, but when we look at the fact that our motivation levels shift with time, with education, with life experience, with different seasons, it would make sense that our ability to change and modify our self-control in different areas would occur.
And a lot of this is about habits. A lot of this is about what you prioritize, what you value. Sometimes we know that we need self-control and we just think, no, don't want to be controlled right now. Habits like anger is a habit, for example. Yelling is a habit. We can be controlled when we need to, when we're motivated to, because maybe somebody's observing us, and so we're going to be on our best behavior.
So when I think about self-control and I think about the many stresses that we have on us, and I think of HALTS and how many times we find ourselves hungry, angry, lonely, tired, or stressed, we could pretty much put our hands up every day with any number of those things. If we're relying entirely on self-control to get us through tricky situations, we're going to fail a lot.
We talked about that a lot in the interview. I don't want to sort of spoil the whole interview, but that's one of the big things we talk about, and how the people who seem to have the most self-control often set up their environments in such a way that they don't need to exercise it at all.
That's right.
Just looks like they're doing it.
So if ice cream is a big issue for you,
don't buy ice cream.
You don't walk down the ice cream aisle to start with, but you don't have it in the house.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly. All right. After the break, we're going to talk about one of my favorite parts of the interview. It's just brilliant. I think you're going to love it. And it's a strategy. You asked about the strategies. It's one of the strategies that you can talk to your kids about. Kylie, Ethan Kross is the international best-selling author of Chatter. And as we had this conversation, I asked him to share some strategies about how we can teach kids self-control. He shared a bunch of them that were all revolving around this idea called self-distancing. Self-distancing, we'll explain it in a lot more detail in the full interview that we'll replay on Saturday. But in short, it basically means that you kind of move yourself away from the thing that's causing the hot emotions where you don't have any self-control. And he talked about one. It's my absolute favorite. I'm going to play it for you now.
You can try something, what we've called the Batman effect. Find their favorite superhero. So superheroes are usually generally really good at exercising restraint, right? And being able to do good things in the world. And so in some studies, what a colleague of mine, Stephanie Carlson, has found is that having children imagine they're a superhero and use their name. Imagine you're Batman and say, what would Batman do right now? Would Batman be able to not eat the marshmallow? Or Dora the Explorer? What would Dora do? That can be really powerful. It transports them into this other role, which gives them some distance from the temptation and also this superpower to restrain it. And so that's been a fun strategy that kids have been able to benefit from in some experiments.
So I guess the main thing I'd say is make sure your kid doesn't want to be Deadpool. That won't work so well.
Coming from a religious home, we've had plenty of conversations with our kids, and growing up, I had conversations where there was an acknowledgement, what would Jesus do if he was there?
Yeah, it's the WWJD thing. That's the grown-up version or the Christian version of the Batman effect.
Yeah, but another take on it is, what would I do if my favourite person, whether it's a school teacher or mum or Auntie Jan, like what would I do if they were here and they were watching me?
Yeah.
Like how would I respond? I want to do everything I can to be seen in a good light by them. How would I respond in this situation?
In the interview, I talked to him about how regularly, and I feel a little bit embarrassed to say this, but regularly people will come up to me and say, when I'm struggling with my parenting, I just imagine that Dr. Justin Coulson is sitting in the living room watching me, and it helps me to be a better parent. That's kind of the idea. That's the self-distancing idea, and it helps us to be better with our self-control. It helps us to quiet the chatter in our head and simply behave better. It's a fascinating interview. It's one of my favorite interviews that I've ever done, and I can't wait for everyone to hear it. So that's happening on Saturday morning. It's for your weekend listening. A little bit longer than the usual interview, but it was just so much fun that I kept talking and so did he, and I think that you're going to get so much out of it. Make sure you check it out then. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. If you'd like more information about how to make your family happier, please visit us at happyfamilies.com.au.